These are the 10 mindset hacks I used to make over $1 million last year. And if you're suffering from analysis paralysis, anxiety, feeling lazy, or just not hitting your goals, this is the video for you. So make sure to hit the like button. And the first hack that I have for you is to throw your hat over the fence. This is one of the most important principles to having success, especially as an entrepreneur. Because let me be honest with you, there's going to be times that it's going to be scary. There's going to be times that if you're trying to accomplish a big enough goal, there's going to be times that you are scared to actually take a step forward. And so let's imagine for a second that your goal is like this giant fence. And you look at this fence and you know that it's going to be a lot of work to climb this fence. It's going to be a little bit scary. Well, how do you make sure that you climb this fence? Well, let's imagine that you're wearing your favorite hat and you take that hat and you throw it over the fence. Now, throwing your hat over the fence is relatively easy, right? But actually climbing the fence is hard. But now that you've thrown your favorite hat over the fence, you kind of have no choice but to climb this fence that was once so scary. So let's use a real example of how you can do this, because you probably have a goal and all you need to do is make a small commitment to be able to hit that goal. So here's a live example. I want to film a mindset and productivity training series. This has been something I've been thinking about for years, but I've never done it because it's going to take a lot of time for me to prepare all the material. It's going to take a lot of time for me to film all this content. So how do I make sure that I'm actually going to do this goal that I have? Well, I'll throw my hat over the fence by making a small commitment that's going to make it so it's pretty much guaranteed that I'll make the bigger commitment of actually writing all the content and filming. So how do I do this? Well, one of the ways I'm going to do it is by announcing right now on this video that I'm going to create this program. The second way that I'm going to do, and that's not enough, right? Just because you announce something, you can always change your mind later. So the second thing that you should do, and something that I've done with a lot of different things, is pre-sell what you're trying to do. Now there's other ways other than just pre-selling something. For instance, one of my first Amazon products that was really successful, I was scared. I didn't know if it was going to work. So I did a Kickstarter and I raised $15,000 before I really invested too much time, money, or energy into the product. Now, I've done that again with courses. I sell online programs. For instance, I have an Amazon FBA program. I didn't know if people were going to want this, so I didn't want to spend 100 hours creating this program. Instead, I told people, hey, there's going to be a beta test of this program. You can buy in at a reduced rate, and every single week I'm going to teach you. And then I recorded that teaching, and then later I could package it up into a different program. And right now, I'm going to show you live how I do this. I'm going to be doing a mindset and productivity challenge. It's only going to be $1 to join. I'll put a link down below. It's going to be 5 days where every day you and me and the other people that sign up sit down and I teach you all the mindset and productivity hacks that I've been learning for the last 10 years as an entrepreneur. And I'll put that link down below to the waitlist. I'm probably going to open up in the next week. I'll open this up. Now the thing is, I'm probably going to get 100 people to sign up for this thing. And if I get 100 people, and obviously I'm not making a ton of money, I'm making $1 per person, but those 100 people each spent $1, they're going to expect me to actually follow through with what I said I was going to do and actually teach them. Now I have 100 people that are going to email me and be disappointed if I don't follow through with this. So not only am I making a small commitment right now by telling you, hey, sign up for the waitlist down below to be part of this training, once I get 100 people or so to sign up, I'm going to have 100 people that are going to keep me accountable. So I'll put that link down below. If you want to be part of that 5-day challenge, make sure to sign up for the waitlist. I'll probably start it in the next week or so. But you can use this principle in your own life, whatever your goals are. If you want to lose weight, maybe you give one of your friends a check for $1,000 and say, hey, if I don't lose 10 pounds within the next year, then you can cash that $1,000 check. Now you've made a commitment. So do that little first small commitment and it's going to make it so you have a domino effect and can have even more success down the road. The second mindset hack is to figure out how can you make it easy so you can hit your goals. Now I suffer from this thing where I set really high goals and I'm going to do as much work as possible to try to hit that goal. And I end up spending a lot of time and energy trying to hit something. But every once in a while, I like to ask myself this question: what would it look like if hitting this goal was easy? Now, an example of this is here on this YouTube channel. I spend a lot of time, a lot of energy filming a ton of different videos. And honestly, most of the videos don't do that well. Now, there are certain videos that do really well. And actually, that leads into the third mindset hack, which is use the 80-20 principle, which I'll talk about in just a minute here. But I saw the videos that did the best and led to 80% of my views were actually stories. Stories where I would interview students that were part of my Amazon FBA program. And honestly, they were some of the easiest videos to make. So I started asking myself, what would it look like if I could make this process easy? And one insight I had is, well, I just recently moved to this beach house in Mexico. Why don't I invite students to come stay with me for free, and then in exchange they could do a video? And I've had a bunch of different people saying that they would totally take me up on that. And that makes my life a lot easier, because now it used to be really hard to film some of these videos and to come up with new video topics all the time. But now all of a sudden, people are flying to me and they're gonna sit down with me and record these videos. So ask yourself, whatever your goals are, what would it look like if hitting your goals were easy? And one way to think about how to make your goals easier to hit is to use the 80-20 principle. Now, you may be familiar with this principle, but if you're not, it's this concept that 80% of the outputs in a system result from 20% of the inputs. So for instance, 80% of the wealth is owned by 20% of the people. 20% of the workers in an organization are going to produce 80% of the results. And most importantly for this scenario, 20% of the work that you do leads to 80% of your results. And I saw this in my YouTube channel, right? Less than 20%, probably like 5% of the videos I make lead to 80% of the views that I get on my channel. So what does that mean? There's a small number of things that you're doing that are leading to most of your success. So why don't you just eliminate the other things that you're doing and focus on that 20%? So for instance, again, with my YouTube channel, I'm gonna stop doing some of the videos I was doing before that just weren't working, and I'm gonna start doing more of these story videos, more of the Amazon tutorial videos. Though I'm still gonna experiment with new styles of videos, like this mindset video, which is definitely something a little bit out of the ordinary. And if you wanna see all those videos, you gotta make sure to subscribe. But what I recommend doing is look at all aspects of your life. Figure out what is the 20% of things that you did that led to 80% of your results in business. What about the 20% of things that you did that led to 80% of your happiness? And for me, what I found that leads into mindset hack number 4 is the time that I spent exercising and playing sports made me so much happier. And that's one of the reasons why I love this little beach town that I moved to. I can go and play basketball. There's literally a yoga studio across the street from me, basketball that people play every Tuesday and Thursday, just like a 2-minute walk. They play spike ball on the beach here. There's a jiu-jitsu gym. And so I really tried to form my life around this idea that I realized that when I was playing sports and I was doing exercise, I was happier. But where I was living before, it was a little bit more difficult to find people to go play basketball with, or find people to do different types of sports or exercise with. But here, where I literally moved here because I found that repeatedly I was the happiest when I was playing sports and getting exercise. And if you're suffering from any kind of anxiety or analysis paralysis, trust me, getting some more exercise, playing some sports will knock that out of you. What I find is when I'm playing sports, so let's say, for instance, I do jiu-jitsu. When I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I'm not thinking about anything except for that moment. Because if I think about something else, my opponent is going to choke me out. And so it forces you when you're playing sports to really be present. And by the time that I'm done, I feel like I've sweated out all the anxiety, all the stress, and the rest of that day, and even the next day, I just feel so much better, so much more optimistic. And as humans, we're meant to move our body. I know we like to think that we could just sit behind a desk all day and use our brain, but our brain is actually a very complicated system, and our brain wasn't just made to think. It was made to power this amazing body that we have. So if you're feeling any kind of anxiety, depression, or just stress in general, it's probably because there's an imbalance of your brain, and the part of your brain that's involved with thinking is being overused, and it's a little bit too strong, and you need to spend a little bit more time strengthening the part of your body that's grounded in the here and the now. And if you struggle with regularly exercising, I highly recommend mindset hack number 5, which is to really get into some kind of a routine. And it's almost a cliche, right? Millionaires talk about, oh, I have this special morning routine where I wake up early, I do meditation, I get some exercise, and I'll be honest with you, that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few years. And specifically, one thing I've added, and again, I'm very grateful that I get to do this, is I'll do some exercise and go jump in the ocean, and that cold water and that shock to the system really wakes me up. Now, not everybody can go jump into the ocean, I get it, but figure out what would your ideal morning routine look like. Not just something that looks like something that millionaires would do, but what's something that you'd actually be a little bit excited for. And I'll be honest, when I first started doing meditation, I wasn't super excited about the idea, and I started by just doing a few minutes a day, but eventually I got to the point where I kind of enjoyed it. Same thing with exercise. I've gone through periods of my life where I really love exercise, and other periods of my life where I actually don't enjoy it. But what I find is, once I start doing it relatively regularly, I realize that, I realize when I'm done exercising, I feel better. And so what ends up happening is, after I've done that for a little bit of time, I actually enjoy the exercise itself because I realize it's like my brain has rewired itself to say, hey, this exercise is actually enjoyable because it knows that it's going to get that endorphin rush, the dopamine rush that comes at the end of the exercise. And a mistake I made early in my entrepreneurial career is every few months I was moving to a new city. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I moved to Chicago for 2 years for my corporate job. And as soon as I quit that, I wanted to get as far away from there as possible. So I moved to Miami for 3 months. And then from there, I moved to South America. I was in Colombia for 3 months. I was in Rio for 3 months. I was in Buenos Aires for 3 months. And I was constantly moving around. Now, the problem with this is I never got into a good routine. And so every time I'd move to a new city, I'd have to find a new gym, new people to hang out with. I had to figure out, what am I going to do for fun? And so my brain was focused and occupied with trying to figure out all this stuff instead of allowing me to focus on what was important, which was my actual business. So what I recommend to people is, if you're building a business, stop moving around. Just stay in one place and focus all that brain power on building that business. Now, once you have your business running and optimized and all systematized, then great. If you want, you can move around. And last year, I had one of the best years of my life. I got rid of my apartment in Santa Monica, moved down here to Mexico, actually bought this amazing beach house, and then I spent the summer traveling around Europe, going to a bunch of different countries, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. And I was able to do that because I'd spent so long in Santa Monica building up my businesses, systematizing it, making it so that I could travel. But if you're trying to grow a business and travel at the same time, you're probably not going to be very good at either one of them. And that's what I found. When I was in South America, when I was out having fun, I felt a little guilty. There was a little part of me that thought, you know what, I really should be building and growing my businesses, because at the time I wasn't making that much money. But then when I was actually working on my businesses, there was a part of me that's like, hey, I'm in South America, I should go out and have fun. So what I would recommend, if you're struggling to hit your goals, is to pick a location, stay in that location, and get into a routine. But I will also recommend mindset hack number 6, which is to take vacations. So what I'm doing right now is I'm spending 3 months working on different projects. And then at the end of those 3 months, I take a month-long vacation. And the reason I'm doing this is, when I ran the 80-20 analysis of my last year, I realized that the first month that I was traveling around Europe was the happiest I'd been in years. But I did also realize that I actually really enjoy working. And when I was traveling around Europe, I didn't feel like I was making any progress. I didn't feel like I had a real strong purpose in life. And I do think having a strong purpose in life is extremely important, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But if you're gonna work really hard, you need to have something that you're looking forward to. And so figure out what your ideal vacation looks like and make sure you schedule it in. Now, it doesn't have to be a month-long vacation. And I'm very lucky, I'm very grateful that I'm in a situation where I can take a month off every few months. Now, if you're not in that kind of a situation, maybe you can take a weekend off. Maybe you can take a week off or a couple weeks off. But you need to have something that you're looking forward to. Because if you're just constantly grinding and working, and there's no carrot at the end of that stick, you're going to end up experiencing burnout. And I've gone through this multiple times. I've worked my butt off and I'd feel burnt out, and then I would take a vacation. But by the time that you're already burnt out, if you try to go, take a vacation, take some time off, sometimes it's a little bit too late. You want to try to preemptively take that vacation, take that relaxed time, so that you don't ever get burnt out. Now, there's another major reason to take vacations periodically, and I'll talk about that in mindset hack number 8. But before I get into that, one of the biggest lessons I learned last year is that as humans, we need a purpose. We need a purpose that's bigger than us, that's not just about having fun. And for a long time, after I quit my corporate job, my goal was just to have a fun life, to enjoy life. And that's great. And maybe you need to go through that phase of just focusing on having fun and enjoying life. But at some point, that feels a little bit hollow. And in fact, I think the best way to have a lot of fun, to be happy, to really enjoy life is to have some kind of a purpose that's more than just about gratifying your own self needs. Now for me, I've found that my purpose in life is helping other people to achieve their financial dreams, to help them make their dreams come true and be able to live their dream life, which is another thing that I found out during my 80-20 analysis. Because when I feel the most fulfilled is when I'm helping people to build businesses. So one of the things I did last year is I started partnering with people on their Amazon businesses, and man, was it rewarding. For instance, I helped AJ start a business that in his first 3 months of launching on Amazon, he ended up doing over $150,000 in sales, which led to over $50,000 in profit. And what's crazy about his story is he was actually an out-of-work bartender. Because of the pandemic, he wasn't able to get a new job. And then he joined my program. I saw that he was really smart, hardworking. I decided to partner with him on this product. And now he made more money in those 3 months than he used to make in a year as a bartender. And seeing his results and how much he was able to accomplish makes me feel really good. It makes me feel happy in a way that drinking margaritas on the beach will never be able to make me feel. And that's why I make these videos. But out of all these different mindset hacks, if there was only one hack that I could give back to my past self that would lead to the most success, it's this one, number 8, which is to review and plan. So what I do personally, and this is the biggest game-changing thing that I do, is every single week on Sunday, I go out to brunch with my girlfriend, I sit down and I review the previous week. I look day by day, what did I do the week before? What are the biggest lessons that I learned? What could I have done that would have made last week even better? And I take some notes, and I also ask myself, what was the most important thing that I did last week? Then, after I'm done with that, I plan the next week. I also ask myself, what would make this upcoming week an amazing and memorable week? Because how often do weeks and weeks go by and you ask yourself, what did I even do for the last month? That's happened to me a lot of times in my life. But if you actually sit down and you plan events every single week, you're gonna have a more fulfilling life. Your life's gonna be more full of amazing memories, and it's gonna actually feel like you've lived for a longer amount of time. For instance, today when we sat down and did the planning, we decided we're gonna go do whale watching, which is something that we'll probably remember for years and years. Another thing that I do every Sunday is plan out what am I gonna do every single day during the week. Now, obviously, I don't always do everything that I say I'm gonna do, and sometimes other things come up and I have to do some other work, but I go into every single week with an idea of what is the most important things that I wanna get done and a list of things that I plan on doing. Now, this is really important because when you do that, your subconscious mind is slowly trying to figure out how are you going to accomplish all these tasks. And what happens is when you go to do the task, your subconscious mind has already kind of thought through it, and so it's gonna make it so doing the tasks are a lot easier. Also, it makes it so that Monday morning, you're not just running around like a chicken with its head cut off, just trying to put out a bunch of fires. You have a plan. Now, on top of this, every few months, I look at the previous couple months and review what did I do, what worked really well, and I review those weekly check-ins and see what patterns are starting to emerge. For instance, if I see that every single week, I'm telling myself, the thing that would have made this week even better was playing sports or getting exercise, well, I better do something about that. I better figure out a way to preemptively fix that. And that leads into one of the biggest lessons I've learned in this last year. And I was looking back at the last year and I realized that most times that I want to accomplish a goal, that I want to try to do something, I don't get it right on the first time. Oftentimes, I don't even get it right on the second time. I still mess up. But usually by the third time, I figure out how to do the thing that I want to do. So for instance, let's say that you want to start exercising. Well, probably you're not going to get it right on your first time. You're going to try exercising. You're going to have some kind of routine. You're probably going to fail, and that's okay. That is part of the process. Then you're going to try again, and you're going to take what you learned from your first time failing and try to modify it. Maybe your first time you went to a CrossFit gym, turns out you hate CrossFit. Okay, cool. And you failed and you quit, whatever. And then the second time you try, maybe instead you should do martial arts or something like that. And maybe even that second time, it's not going to work, but that is okay. And I found this over and over again, that usually for me, it takes about 3 times until I get it right. In fact, moving here into this little Mexico town, I knew that. I went into it thinking about that. So for instance, I decided that I wanted to start getting into a really good work routine come January of this year. So what I did is I actually moved back here in November. And I spent a few weeks in November trying to get into a flow, trying to get into a routine. And you know what? I got some good work done, but it wasn't perfect. I then went home for Thanksgiving, came back here in December, learning from what I did last time that worked and didn't work. And then in December, I was a little bit more productive. My systems and routines were a little bit more fluid. And then I went home for Christmas and New Year's, and now I'm here in January, and I've taken what I've learned from the last 2 times, which weren't that successful, and everything is running a lot smoother. The same thing's true when I launched my Amazon program. The version 1.0 of my Amazon program was not that great. And then I took the mistakes that I made with that version 1.0 and I made a version 2.0. And even still, version 2.0 still has some holes, and that's okay. So then I took all the mistakes that I made from version 2.0 and made version 3.0. So don't think that you need to get it perfect on the first time. Nobody gets it perfect on the first time. In fact, Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn, says that if you're not embarrassed by your first iteration of your product or your app or whatever you're working on, if you're not embarrassed by that first version of the thing that you're working on, then you waited too long. So don't be worried about your thing not being perfect. Done is better than perfect. And the 10th mindset hack, and the reason that I was able to make over $1 million last year while traveling and living what I consider to be my best life, is because I was able to systematize my businesses. If you want to make a lot of money, if you want to hit your goals, you're going to need to learn how to automate and systematize whatever you're doing. Now, for me, that means hiring virtual assistants. I guarantee there's a lot of things that someone else could do just as good as you, if not better. And honestly, they probably would do it for relatively inexpensive. You can hire a VA in the Philippines for around $3 to $5 per hour. So I used to edit all my videos. So when I would make a video, it'd probably take me 10 hours because I had to write the script, I had to film it, I had to edit it. Now I have editors who edit all my videos. I'm even thinking about hiring someone to help me to write scripts. So eventually I'm gonna be able to get to the point where all I have to do is hit record, film a video, which would take me about an hour. So something that used to take me 10 hours could take me as little as 1 hour. Now there's so much more mindset and productivity hacks that I wanna share with you, and that's why I'm doing the $1 5-day mindset and productivity hack challenge. You can click on this link down below to get on the wait list. And during this challenge, I'm gonna teach you almost everything that I know and that I've learned over these last 10 years of being an entrepreneur. So click on that link to get on the wait list, and I will see you in the live training. I'm only gonna be allowing 100 people to join, so make sure you get on the wait list because I'm gonna open this up next week.